Okay, so it's my honor and privilege to welcome all of you to this second convening that we have convened as part of our lead up to the GPAI summit that we'll be hosting in December. So as we mentioned in the first convening that we had on the 1st of June, wherein we mentioned the objective of having these convenings is to get to know more about the work that is being done by the experts, by the entire GPAI ecosystem, to get to know more about that, to share it with the larger ecosystem so that we are much more aware of the contribution that's being made by all key stakeholders to the larger mission of the GPAI. So we have been working closely with the GPAI Secretariat and with the MEG chair and with the working groups in order to organize these working group convenings. And the first one was a resounding success, if I may say that. We got a lot of participation, a lot of feedback, a lot of inputs, a lot of suggestions, and really it kind of brought the entire work to the to fore in front of everyone about the work that is being done. So with that in objective, this is the second such convening that we are doing today on the work for the work that has been done by the experts on innovation and commercialization convening. So we'll formally start the session. I thank everyone for joining this second working group convening led by India as the incoming council chair of GPAI. These convenings have been organized with support from the MEG and the GPAI Secretariat, the plenary chair, the Centers of Excellence in Canada and France. And the objective is to raise awareness around the outputs which are being done by the working groups, namely the data governance, the responsible AI, innovation and commercialization, future of work. So with the data governance was the first one that we did, and the innovation commercialization, the second convening that we are doing. And in the coming months, as we lead up to the December summit, we will be covering the work which has been done by the responsible AI and future of work groups also. So today, like as we all know, like generative AI and the developments in AI have made the work that we are doing together a very discussion point. We have every country trying to put forward, every country, every organization trying to put forward the work which is being done. The US has come out with recently with its, the G7 also came out with its declaration on that, and it all refers that there is a greater need for global cooperation to ensure that whether it's generative AI or the developments in artificial intelligence are developed in such a way that we are able to use it responsibly for the larger public good. So there is a greater demand for all of us to come together, and what better forum other than GPAI, which not only brings in the member countries but also brings in the experts and the stakeholders in the form of the multi-stakeholder group on the one common platform for sharing these initiatives being taken up by various countries, by various organizations, by various companies, and trying to build up a kind of a common framework for responsible use of this technology. So GPAI is such a multi-stakeholder initiative which is ideally suited for providing the leadership to the country. GPAI needs to evolve into a self-sustaining, independent organization, leading the development of AI applications as well as regulations in order to bring together the entire expertise which comes from the industry, from civil society, from international organizations, from governments, from academia, and to bring together so that we are able to share the best practices, we are able to share experiences, the learnings from implementation of AI projects, the frameworks with which we can assess an AI system on its responsiveness, on its ethical attributes. To do that, if there can be metrics for measuring that, if there can be frameworks for assessing AI solutions, so that whatever has been done by multiple agencies and multiple parties can be shared with everyone on this platform. So India, being a founding member of GPAI, is strongly committed to this cause of bringing the entire expertise of the GPAI ecosystem on this forum. And in the first working group on the data governance, we had more than 400 experts who took part. And today also, we are already having 200 plus. And I'm sure as we go forward and look into the expert presentations, we'll have many more people will be joining us. Today, we'll focus on innovation and commercialization. And innovation and commercialization is something that is very vital. We all talk about how AI can contribute to $1 trillion of global economy. There are various assessments on that, and in every way which way possible, this is done by taking up innovation and ensuring that various industries, various companies which are working, various enterprises which are working on development of this are able to use it for not only solving societal problems, but also industrial problems, improving manufacturing, empowering small and medium-sized enterprises, and ensuring that AI advancement benefits each one and everyone. And that becomes a very, very important part of democratizing the access to AI for every stakeholder in the ecosystem. In India, what we have seen is that the small and medium enterprises, they play a very important role in the economic landscape. And we have almost 63 million SMEs last year, which contribute to 30% of the GDP. And when we are supporting the tech upgrade of the MSMEs, we are looking at how they can benefit from artificial intelligence, how they can become more efficient, how they can use innovation, how they can use the generative AI and artificial intelligence developments in order to improve their output and do that. We work very closely. We have an initiative called Meti Startup Hub, and we have developed one of the most vibrant startup ecosystem in India. And we are also in the process of setting up centers for excellence in artificial intelligence in the sectors of healthcare, agriculture, and smart mobility, which will ensure that the further such developments of applications in this field will be promoted by these centers for excellence. And today's convening will get to hear from the experts on the innovation and commercialization working group, and we will get to hear about the work that is ongoing, the work that has been completed, its impact that they have created, the future roadmap, and will also identify areas where member countries and external ecosystem can work together. The working group has been playing an instrumental role in studying and recommending tools and methods to drive international collaboration on AI, R&D, innovation, and as also like transferring from, as we can say, from lab to practice. How do we ensure that the solutions which are developed as a pilot or as a prototype or as a proof of concept can be scaled up and deployed for benefit of industry as well as society? I look forward to hearing from each of the project co-leads of the Innovation and Commercialization Working Group projects, and I hope that we'll have an engaging discussion between the experts, member countries, and the external AI ecosystem. I would also like to invite the GPAI experts in the larger Indian and AI global ecosystem to join us in the summit proceedings and the side events in December in India, along with the subsequent convenings that we'll be having in the coming months. I would, before I conclude, I would like to express my thanks to my colleagues at the COE, the GPAI Secretariat, my own team, the MEG chair, and the entire GPAI team for their support in organizing this convening. This initiative would greatly help us in identifying avenues of working together and taking forward of GPAI's work. And we strongly feel that this kind of virtual event, even though it's virtual, will help us know each other better, know the work about each other better, and we'll be having much more focused group discussions when we meet physically in December in Delhi in India. So with these words, I once again welcome all the participants to this convening today, and I would request now Yoichi Ida from Japan to give a brief overview of the functioning of GPAI and the output generated within the innovation and commercialization by Japan as the GPAI steering committee member. Over to you, Yoichi. I hope he's here.
I've just given him the ability to speak, so he should be online.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm sorry for having the small technical problem. And thank you very much, Chair Abhishek. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Yoichi Ida, the lead chair of the Exco at GPAI this year. And I'm very happy to see these very active activities convened by the incoming chair India. And we are actually working very closely together as Troika chairs at every instrument at GPAI framework. From our community, we also have several private sector experts joining this working group on innovation and commercialization, which is bringing very productive outcomes from the project-based activities in previous years and this year, I'm quite sure. And we are very much looking forward to the discussion today. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and we very much look forward to keeping the close collaboration towards the very successful GPAI summit in Delhi near the end of this year. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Yoichi, for your remarks, and we look forward to working with you on the support that we have. Right. Team, can we get rid of this slide which is fixed so that we are able to see the speakers better? Yeah. Now I would request Guillaume Everin, the National Coordinator for AI GPAI Steering Chair, to give the opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Chair Abhishek. Hi, Yoshi. Hi, all. Very happy to have the opportunity to do a short introduction regarding the expectation from France regarding the work that is ongoing in the working group associated with innovation and commercialization. So, two main comments, two main aspects, very important axes for the French national strategy for AI. The first one, that, as you know, the title of this French national strategy is deploying AI in our economy. So any action that we are taking has to be related to this objective of deploying, disseminating AI in our society, in our economy, and so on. And in this working group of the GPAI that is associated with innovation and commercialization, there is a real opportunity with the work that has been done associated with the SME platform to get the AI offer closer to the AI demand, and to make sure that for each use cases, we have a clear vision, a clear idea about the companies and the SMEs that are involved in the development and deployment of AI system for these use cases. So, it has been announced by the French president the 14th of July. There is a large major action that is oriented to SMEs, and I think this SME platform that has been developed within this working group would be very useful to reach the objective associated with this strategic action toward SMEs, but also regarding the reach of our objective associated with the deployment of AI. So what we are going to do in the next few months is that we are going to experimentate this SME platform at a regional level in order to see if we are managing to get the AI provider closer to the AI end users, and to integrate these technologies in our companies. And if the results are good, then there will be an experimentation at the national level of this SME platform. So this is the first one, I think, a very concrete deliverable of this innovation and commercialization working group. Second comment is regarding generative AI. So you were mentioning it, Chair Abhishek. Very important topic. All of us, we are working on it, and there will be no success of generative AI if we are not able to deal with copyright and personal data aspects associated with the deployment, the training, and the use of these generative technologies. And especially regarding the copyright part of it, there is an action within the working group associated with innovation and commercialization that is specifically about IP and AI. And for us, in the France point of view, it will be very important to follow the work that is done by the GPAI expert within this working group, within this action dedicated to IP and AI, and to be able to integrate the output, the result of this work in our national national strategy for AI. So these are the two main points that I wanted to share with you. First, use all the results from this working group in order to make sure that we are able to deploy AI in our companies and gain all the competitiveness associated to it with it. And second, make progress regarding the governance of generative AI systems and their training and deployment in our society and economy. That's it on my side for the moment, but my colleagues are also going within this meeting to of course discuss on that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Gulam, for your insights, and we are happy to work with you in order to take this agenda forward. Next, I'll request Meg Chair Inma, who has been like a pillar of support for all the work that we are doing at the GPAI. Invite you for sharing your insights with regard to the working groups and how they are working towards the larger objectives of the GPAI's agenda.
Thank you, Chair Singh. The MEG is looking forward to welcoming India to the GPAI presidency and to support its leadership and vision in 2024. The Global Partnership on AI is a visionary alliance of governments and AI practitioners that together seek to pursue real actions for real challenges around artificial intelligence development and commercialization. And the research and strategic projects that we undertake in the MEG, as well as the initiatives that we are creating to collaborate with other international institutions, ensure that collectively the member nations agree on matters of global concern and find solutions to issues that require proactive measures that work in the real world beyond just regulatory and policy frameworks. Our mission, the mission of the MEG, is to ensure that the AI that brings the future, a future of economic progress and social welfare, it does so with human-centric values, and that artificial intelligence helps create a safer, more equitable world where humanity thrives. The mandate of the expert group, which we familiarly call the MEG, is to leverage from this engaged international community of experts, some of them prominent AI practitioners who collectively deliver insights, strategies, and assets to the GPAI Council members. And it is a rich collective of academics, professionals in private and public sector, AI pioneers and entrepreneurs, and together address the most relevant and prominent issues affecting AI and how it creates progress. The member countries nominate experts to join the MEG, but also the MEG welcomes the participation of AI specialists to join and support our projects with their expertise. And if they wish to commit in a deeper fashion, they can join the MEG as self-nominated experts, which we currently approve once a year, but that we're looking forward to expanding to perhaps twice a year. The expert groups work in projects that matter now and in the future and deal with issues that are known and expected, but also potentially unknown and challenging. Since its year of launch in 2020, the year of the pandemic, the working groups provide specific deliverables around 4 different pillars of societal development: how we must develop AI that is trustworthy and human-centric, as well as demonstrative of data governance in all its manifestations and derivations, with CEMIA in Canada supporting these 2 working groups, and how governments must prepare for how humans will work and develop skills and learning in an AI-driven society, as well as how AI is making inroads into small and medium enterprises across all sectors, creating innovation, being these 2 groups supported by Frances Inria. The current priorities agreed for the year 24, in which the government of India will hold the office of the presidency at the GPAI, are how we must create the AI assets as pillars of a resilient society, knowing the challenges ahead and preparing for them, continuing strengthening our efforts to mitigate the effects of climate change across humanity, nature, and the animal kingdoms, making AI a powerful and effective tool, ensuring that the future society is built upon strong human rights across all developed and in development countries, a topic in which the data governance. Sorry.
Next slide. Yes, Kathleen, thank you.
ensuring. Sorry, I didn't have any slides. I just have my speech. I don't know why.
There is one. Yeah.
Okay. Ensuring, sorry, where was I? A topic in which the Data Governance Working Group has done outstanding work, and that we expect further relevant projects will continue to support this core priority for the GPAI. And lastly, to ensure that healthcare across all nations is supported by AI to address future pandemics that will require international coordination and cooperation. The work of the expert group is thus incredibly relevant and unique in its insights for the multi-skills of the experts and the international scope of our approaches. And we are excited at the prospect of delivering higher outcomes under India's presidency. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Inma, for your insights with regard to the working groups. And we really are looking forward to working towards as we go ahead into the summit in December. So now we'll get the experts coming, and I would request if Kathleen can moderate the session.
Yes, of course. Thank you to everyone who has spoken thus far. And I look forward to a fruitful discussion and presentation of the Innovation and Commercialization Working Group. So to get us started, I'll hand it over to Françoise Soulier and Lawrence Liu, who are the co-chairs of the Innovation and Commercialization Working Group.
Thank you very much. I will talk, and then Lawrence can, as usual, protest if I say something he doesn't agree with. So basically, Innovation and Commercialization Working Group is basically concerned with anything which can help disseminate AI within our economy through innovation, of course, through the transfer of results to companies. And we have a special focus on SMEs, like Mr. Singh was saying before. SMEs represent in all our countries a very big chunk of our economies and our workforce. So what we intend to do in this group is basically to have tools which are practical, useful, easy to deploy, and where we have basically incorporated all the knowledge and best practices available in our different countries. So we are very fortunate in the GPAI to be basically have a representation from, I think, 29 countries today, because this number is increasing. We started with 15 at the very beginning, and this is very significant to be able to have feedbacks from all these different countries and produce tools which we call common. Basically, we are producing commons for the good of the different members in GPAI. So in this working group, Kathleen, if you can move to the next slide, we have focused on 4 projects. One is the broad adoption of AI by SMEs. This is the first project we started, and Lawrence will present that more in detail later. But basically the idea here is to address one of the problems the SMEs have, which is getting access to information about what's possible in AI, stated in non-AI terms, that is to say, for the layman, so that they can easily understand what would be good for them. So we build this platform, and we are now in the process, as Guillaume Avrin said before, to deploy that in countries. So in France, there will be a deployment at the regional level, and further on, if everything works fine, at the national level. And this is open to every country in GPAI at 0 cost. This is a common. The thing we did after that, and Inma will talk about it later, is to build a vertical of this platform into a platform for the agriculture and farming sector. Obviously, a lot of the farmers are SMEs indeed, and very small SMEs, sometimes just a few people in the company in the farm. And we think that this agriculture and farming sector, of course, is critical for the welfare of our countries, of our people, so that people get fed correctly, get access to good food. And the way to think about it is to realize that many countries face the same kind of problem when it comes to AI for farming industry, is that a farmer is not an AI engineer, right? So he needs something really special, some magic, and this is what Inma is going to talk about, the magic that we have to put into that so that farmers get access to the resources they could use for profit in their farms. The third one, also Guillaume mentioned before, is the question of IP. Of course, when you have a company put on the market a product incorporating AI, they want to protect their intellectual property. They want to protect their innovation. AI in itself raises many questions, which are addressed by this group, in particular the question of copyright of data. Everybody probably in this room knows about the suits which are going to happen in the US about protecting the copyright of data which were scrapped by generative AI, OpenAI, for example. So this is the kind of topics that this committee addresses, trying to make sure that everybody who has an innovation can protect it, and everybody who's using AI can do so without any juridical risk, basically. The last one is about the regulation. Everywhere in the world, we're hearing about the necessity of having some regulation put in place about AI. There are various solutions to that in the different regions of the world. Europe, of course, has this AI Act, which is discussed at the present time at the European Commission, but there are discussions as well in the US, etc. So this group is trying to see what is really useful and what is the kind of common rule that we can extract from that about regulation. So now, Lawrence, unless you have some comment to add to this, I will pass over to the first group, the broad adoption of AI, and then it's going to be you with Ingo. Yes. Ingo, you're somewhere, I think, right? I don't see you, but you must be somewhere. So Lawrence, you and Ingo Hoffman are co-lead of this project, and I think Lawrence is going to make the presentation. Ahead,
my co-chair Ingo will start first, and then I'll take the second half of the presentation. Ingo, next slide.
Yeah, thank you, Lawrence. Next slide. So basically, when we started the innovation and commercialization group, we asked ourselves as experts, what are the key challenges we should address? And almost every country really has a challenge with the adoption of AI by the small and mid-sized enterprises. So these are typically a majority of the country's workforce working for them, 80% roughly. But in many cases, they really do not have a good understanding of AI, what they can do with it. They lack the resources, skills, data, you name it. So they are really unaware of the potential that AI could bring to them. And that's something we want to address with our work, to make them aware and to give them a way to find the solutions that can actually be of use to them in their specific situation. And because we wanted not to develop another paper, we decided to create something real, as Françoise mentioned, a comment, and decided to implement our recommendations, our best practices as a portal for the SMEs. Next slide, please. And there are basically three areas that we are looking at. One, obviously, is the SMEs that should be able to find not only solutions, but also do an assessment of their maturity. Where are they in the journey towards AI? where they can find some training data or additional data that they can use to upskill their employees, for example, but most importantly, where they can find solutions that are a fit to their specific industry and their specific needs. On the other side, we have the providers of solutions and services that can use the portal to offer their solutions and services to the SME to describe what they have to offer. And of course, an operator that not only operates the portal, but most importantly, also make sure that the solutions that are on the portal are of high quality. And we have an additional assessment also for the solution providers developed to make sure that we can assess, or the portal operator can assess the quality and the maturity of the providers, so that once there is a fit, we also can be sure that there is a quality solution behind that. And how we did that, actually, Lawrence will talk about that in some more details. Lawrence?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ingo. Yeah, so the last 2 years, right, basically what we have done is we have produced a portal which basically encapsulates the recommendations of this group. And a couple of important things besides the matching is a tool maturity index. One is for the SMEs. We call that the AI Mind, which basically helps the SME to determine where they are in terms of their AI maturity. And the second one we call the Solution Provider Maturity Index, which is to help the portal operator and also to help the solution provider to understand where they are in terms of their AI maturity, so that the portal operator can make an informed decision on whether this solution provider is a right fit. Following that, we actually did a field test last year where we had France, Germany, Poland, and Singapore. We conducted a 3-month field test of the first version, and we reached out to about 50 over SMEs and 63 solution providers throughout these countries. And we got a lot of feedback. And based on this feedback, we actually enhanced the portal the first couple of months of this year. And what you're going to see later is the latest version. And to make sure that all countries get the necessary support when they are launching this portal, we also have a AI for SME forum, where we hope portal operators, developers can come together and share the code, the best practices, what worked, what did not work, and so on, right? The portal is a template, but by sharing these best practices, I think all the GPAI members can benefit best. Next. So this is where we are. We are ready to deploy. In fact, I understand Poland has already deployed, and Singapore has actually launched our portal, in fact, at noon today. So we have 2 portals live already, and the other countries are coming on stream very strongly. So I encourage the other GPAI members in the other countries to reach out to us when you are ready to, if you're keen and you're ready to adopt this portal and launch. We have already all the onboarding materials, the training and so on. And if necessary, we'll do a live onboarding sessions for the countries who are interested. Next. So this is a quick video of the portal in action. There should be audio. Is there no audio?
Can everyone hear the audio?
No.
Ketil, you were on mute, so now it should work.
Okay.
The SME needs to understand where they are in terms of their AI maturity, and therefore we encourage them to take the AI Mind assessment or AI Maturity Index assessment. After taking that, they'll be presented with a report which tells them where they are in terms of their AI maturity. And also importantly, they'll actually see a chart where it compares them to their peers in the industry. Next, SME would like to find relevant AI use cases to their needs. So they can type in a simple word or phrase, and a semantic search is done. And relevant use cases will be shown, and they can click through, learn more about the use cases. And if they are really interested, contact the solution provider. This is the matching that we're talking about. We also want to make sure that the SME is able to learn about AI. And this page provides a template where countries can upload relevant AI resources for the SMEs. Next, we want to allow solution providers to showcase their AI solutions to the SMEs and ecosystem. They have to go through a registration process, indicate their information, the industries they are in, and so on. And then, importantly, they will take a solution provider maturity index survey. This will allow the portal operator to understand the solution provider better and to decide whether he or she can be onboarded into the portal. So with this, we end the portal demo. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Can go to the next slide. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Lawrence and Ingo. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to put them into the Q&A box, and then we'll get back to them at the end of our presentation. So the next project is the Protecting AI Innovation Intellectual Property IP project. So Lee Tiedrich has created a video for us today as she could not be present. And then Jan Dietrich will be present later on for the Q&A session should you have any questions about this project. So please enjoy the video. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lee Tiedrich, and I co-lead the GPAI IP Advisory Committee, along with my GPAI colleague, Jan Dietrich. Thank you so much for inviting us here today to share our work with you, and we greatly welcome your inputs and want to explore ways to deepen our collaboration with you. In terms of our work, our current work focuses on developing standardized contract terms to facilitate responsible and voluntary AI data and model sharing. I co-lead this project with Josef Drexel, the director of the Max Planck Institute for Innovation and Competition. What I thought I would do is give you an overview of the work that we've done over the past couple of years and outline our plans for going forward. To begin, we started this work in 2022 because our committee observed that parties really do want to engage in responsible and voluntary AI data and model sharing, but we're finding it difficult to do so. We also observed through various different conversations that if the community could develop responsible standard contract terms, it could help parties achieve this goal. So we embarked in 2022 to study this issue through our preliminary report. And in our preliminary report, we conducted research based on various available sources. And we also thought it was really important to go to the people on the ground, the various different stakeholders, and get their perspectives. So we conducted a series of interviews. Our 2022 report was published at the end of last year, right before the GPAI summit in Japan. And I wanted just to share with you some of the findings of our report. I mean, one, the report confirmed our ingoing assumption that there is this need to or desire to share data and AI models, but that it was difficult. We also found that while there were ongoing efforts to try to develop standardized contract terms, that these efforts were relatively nascent. We also heard consistently throughout the interview process that in order to develop contract terms that would be broadly adopted and accepted and that were fair and consistent with the OECD AI principles, it was really important to get multi-stakeholder input. Another key finding of our 2022 report is that, not surprisingly, there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach for contracting around AI data and models, and that there are lots of different models, business models that are emerging. So having a menu of terms and giving parties options would be helpful. And we also observed that the menu of terms could help adapt to some of the new technological advances, such as rights allocation, dealing with privacy issues using pets, and dealing with ethical considerations. And in our report, we encouraged the organizations that were working on developing these terms to continue with their efforts, and we wanted to be as supportive as possible. And on the right-hand side of this slide, I'll just flag that in addition to the contracting issues, we identified several other challenges around AI data and model sharing. Some of them were technical, some of them dealt with legal uncertainties with respect to privacy laws, intellectual property laws, business uncertainties in terms of how to value the data, and of course, data justice issues, which we can't overlook. We continued this work in 2023 by delving deeper into our report through 2 hybrid workshops. The first workshop was held in Munich at the Max Planck Institute for Innovation and Competition in April 2023. And then we hosted a second workshop in the United States at Duke University's Washington, D.C. office. We were really proud of the fact that through our workshops, we had incredibly broad participation across jurisdictions around the world. We had various different stakeholders, and we really covered a lot of different disciplines. And some of the key takeaways from the workshop were that, the landscape for developing these terms still remains relatively nascent. There was definitely a prevailing view that the contractual terms could help address some of the legal uncertainties that we find in the law, and also help parties adapt to the evolving regulatory landscape, including the EU AI Liability Directive and the EU Data Act. We also found that common contractual definitions could be a good starting point, and that there could be applications for this with respect to data scraping, and that while contractual terms are important, they aren't going to necessarily supplant the need for technical tools. So for 2024, we basically plan to continue this work through convenings through what we have now called our AI Contract Terms Incubator. We are hoping to have another virtual workshop or 2, or hybrid workshop or 2 in the coming year, and then also supplement it with some virtual meetings. And we certainly welcome your suggestions on how we might integrate this into the upcoming GPAI Summit in India that we're very excited about. And of course, we welcome your further suggestions. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, so if you have any questions about the IP project, I do once again encourage you to put them into the Q&A box, and we'll get to them at the end of our global presentation. At this point, I'll hand it over to Inma Martinez and Daniela Rus to discuss the Agro project within the INC working group.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. So I will start by explaining the context and the purpose of this project, and my colleague Daniela will run you through what is it that we would like to be working on in 2024. And this project emerged from the original introduction of AI into SMEs that was being led by Lawrence and Hugo for SMEs. And it's because in the big world of AI transformation, there's many sectors that live in context of real world data, such as healthcare, such as agriculture, rather than someone sitting behind a computer looking at a CRM system. And we felt that it merited to have a project of its own. And the drivers of this project are the acknowledgement of what the issues are, and the issues are really blatantly clear. We have a population that in some decades will reach 10 billion people, and at the same time, the arable land, it decreases year on year, not just because of climate change effects, but because of very poor agricultural techniques that date back to 2000 years before Christ. So the technification of agriculture is one of the most transformative forces at the moment, and artificial intelligence is driving many of those solutions. And the second one is also that we need to start yielding more from the crops. We need to start improving the welfare of farmed animals. And the project is looking into bringing those case studies, bringing those solutions providers, and looking at it from a global perspective. So in the first year of running, which was 2022, we looked at case studies that were delivering typical AI solutions: optimization, detection, prediction of crops, prediction of when you have to pick up tropical fruits, prediction of animal welfare, etc. And we documented all of them. We built a database, and we started looking at who these solution providers are, where they are in the world. And one of the most impacting insights that emerged from the work is the need for the world to share agricultural data and to know where it is, who are the custodians of this data, and if this data is is verifiable, is true data, it hasn't been tampered with. And not just because we want this information to be part of the statistics of the GDP of countries, but because we need to look into how food, this type of crops makes it into the human chain food. And also we need to predict plagues in the future and anything that would affect feeding the population. And the war in Ukraine is a very good example as to why agriculture and having this data is really important. So we are building the back end of this portal in 2022, where it comes to the contents. And then what we're going to be looking at in 2024 is, if you move to the next slide, is what we will, Daniela will explain in the next steps.
Sorry, thank you, Inma. And so we have a very exciting project in AI and agriculture, and our plans for the next steps are both exciting and challenging. So the current focus on sustainability and decarbonization gives us an unprecedented opportunity to harness AI and technification to push forward a new era for best practices, guided by the idea that we should support the well-being of our planet while ensuring good agricultural output. And an important aspect of these activities is the establishment and adherence to international agriculture data governance standards. Our committee is working to construct comprehensive agro databases, and we're looking at both national and regional levels. And you can see these as information reservoirs that will enable AI solutions in agriculture, and especially in sustainable agriculture. And so to foster innovation and commercialization of agro solutions, we understand that startups are extraordinarily important in moving the ball forward. And our role, we view our role to ensure that the potential of startups and SMEs in general are harnessed to the fullest capacity. We really believe that the future of agriculture lies in technological advancements, and we are thinking about how to bridge that future. So our next step is the launch of an interactive information portal similar to the SME portal you just heard about. And you can see this portal as a kind of a melting pot of international best practices, case studies, AI solution vendors, and startup ecosystems. Can we go to the next page, please? In addition to the development of the portal, we have several other active projects, which include Resilient Society, which is thoughtfully led by Japan. And this project includes case studies presented by NARO that illustrate how agro AI is playing a critical role in fostering a more resilient agricultural landscape. We also have an equitable AI initiative led by India, and we have 10 other collaborations. Now there's a lot of activity in the space, and to enable more results, we are seeking additional funding, and we are exploring additional funding models beyond what the GPAI has provided so far. And so I will just underscore that these initiatives are not just about agricultural AI in the conventional sense. They really aim to create a system that can withstand the volatile effects of climate change, including erosion, tsunami, plagues, and so forth. And agro AI is at the heart of these ideas and these initiatives. And so with our work, we hope to provide the infrastructure that will help everyone around the planet develop agricultural practices and agricultural businesses that can weather climate change, and that can improve the resilience and sustainability of agricultural practices.
Thank you so much to Daniela Roos and Ima Martinez. Once again, please don't hesitate to put your questions or any comments in that Q&A box, and we'll get to them after our global presentation. So for the last project that we'll be presenting today, I'll hand it over to Sergio Alvarez Telena and Andreas Liebel, who are co-leading this project.
Thank you, Caitlin. I'm Sergio Alvarez, and Andreas will be answering all your questions later on. He's my co-chair and great colleague. So first and foremost, what's the context of our working group? Well, if artificial intelligence is a complex field, you can imagine regulation. And if you are trying not to erode innovation, it's even more complex. So that's pretty much our nature. It's like, how can we try to help out there with regulation and innovation? How can we get innovation not to be a burden for companies? So how do we do that? First, we need to make what's impact actually. First question is what's impact? We need to make it visible, because otherwise we won't have any measure to understand what's going on with regulation or whether it is impacting or not directly the companies. And obviously then, by understanding all the different documentation, whether legally binding or not around the world, on how to compile and how to meet regulation around the world with your project, with your own products, by developing tools that help companies. So we are not really trying to help here regulators or governments. We are trying to help other agents, which are the companies, all right? Let alone not finding a way for us to be able to get all the data that we need in order to comply with the different regulations. So first and foremost, what we need to, the objectives are the data. First, data. We need to get the inputs. So because we need to get the concrete impact measures around regulation to calculate the number of KPIs around foreseeable regulatory impact. Second, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, so we need to look for practical examples out there of different countries and institutions and other organizations in order to see what they're trying to do in order to erode innovation through regulation. And finally, we need to outline concrete regulatory approaches to help a company easily understand the regulatory implications of in target markets. So basically, we need to chew all the documentation that I mentioned before all around the world, and we need to, once we have all those insights, we will be able to create something in the shape of libraries to help companies comply, and not only that, but being able to include the compliance around regions by design, which is very relevant, because otherwise, if you try to export your artificial intelligence products to other regions and you need to start from scratch when you have a legacy, we all know that that's very expensive, and that can erode definitely the business model of the companies. So that's on the context and the objectives. And second, if you move to the second slide, we have the steps, which are pretty much reasonable. So first, the data again, data. We get the collection of practices and examples through all the experts that we have in our working group. So limited to, bounded to that a regional dimension. And then a couple of things that are expanded throughout 2023 and 2024, which is first, we start comparing the documents and to see what's common and what's different across the different regions. So basically the minimum common multiple, to find the common structure, and then the differences in order to see what's relevant for you if you want to move from a country to another one. That's and second, the impact. What's impact? We need again data, and who's better than the companies themselves to let us know how costly it is for them to meet regulations. So we are already working on a questionnaire in order to ask them for that information. And again, during this year, we're going to be gathering all that data so that the next year we can find out and what's the impact on different dimensions of regulation. And once we've done it, and with all the insights that we have, that we've collected all throughout this time, we will be able to provide companies with different, with a library that gathers different approaches and activities and resources for them to be able to face regulation globally on AI in a structured way. So basically, this is it. So data, metrics, and chewing all the documentation for them to be able to approach regulation in a very in the most efficient way. So that'll be it, Caitlin.
Thank you so much, Sergio. So I do once again encourage you to write any questions or comments in that Q&A box, and we'll get to them very shortly. So for the last presentation, before we get to those Q&As, I will be presenting a little bit about what the expert support centers do, as well as the institutions that host them. So I am Caitlin, and I'm the Innovation and Commercialization Working Group Project Lead at the Paris Center of Support. There are two, I don't know if we mentioned that earlier, but there are two centers of support. One, which is where I am at the Paris one, hosted by INRIA, which is the French National Institute for Research in Digital Science and Technology, and the Montreal Center of Support, which is hosted by SEMIA. So as it is in the name, the expert support centers are here to support the GPAI activities and projects by supporting the experts communities and the working groups at large into developing these high impact projects for AI. Our day-to-day is looking like planning and supporting the expert working groups and in conducting their projects. So these projects that we just mentioned, there are indeed 4 working groups for those who are unaware, and INRIA is hosting 2 of them, which is the Innovation and Commercialization Working Group and Future of Work. We also work in collaboration with the other working groups with our partner SEMIA for the other support center. We work in planning and organization, such working group meetings, supporting and conducting the projects, whether that be administration, developing partnerships, engaging with both internal and external GPAI communities, supporting the expert events, such as the town hall that was, I believe, 2 months ago. We also help in funding and these financial contributions to support these activities. Just very briefly on the institution that I work for that is hosting the Paris Center of Support. So we have 2 axes within the AI mission, one of which is indeed the GPAI Paris Center of Support. Some of our activities include, once again, hosting the 2021 GPAI Summit in Paris. And we look forward to closely collaborating with our colleagues in India to help them in the organization of the 2023 GPAI Summit, which will be in India this year. And once again, supporting those 2 of the 4 GPAI working groups. Our other acts is the French National AI Research Program. We work in hosting various AI symposiums, such as the symposium for the MIT France Seed Fund in July 22, as well as others. And we've also established Labor AI, a research and resource center to gain a better understanding of artificial intelligence. And then just briefly, some of the missions that we have as the French National AI Research Program, that we work in collaboration with our many affiliated institutions. What I like to say about the support centers is that we are sort of the first contact. So should you have any questions about the Innovation and Commercialization Working Group, GPAI, or even INRIA at large, please don't hesitate to get in contact with me, and I'll act as that first point of communication. I can either answer your questions myself or put you in touch with the right people. I'll put my email in that discussion box for you. So once again, thank you very much to our colleagues in India who've helped us organize this event today. Please don't hesitate to put your questions and comments in that box so that we can get to them now that we go to the Q&A section of the presentation. So I will hand it over to Françoise to moderate a bit. Thank you so much.
A little problem here. We have many questions. So it will be hard to answer all of them. So basically, I'm going to go through questions as they go, and probably not everything will be covered. If there are some left, then please come back. There was first a question about generative AI. So as you've seen, generative AI question about ownership and copyright. So typically, this is what the IP group has been addressing in the last conference in Washington. So this topic is really covered. The question early on how we can use AI in agriculture, of course, has been answered by Inma. We have a special project on that. The question about providing the dates and links for the upcoming cycle of GPAI working group self-nomination process. I wouldn't be able to give you the right timing, but basically the last one was closed. When was it, Caitlin? About a month ago or something?
Yeah.
So it's basically every spring. So come back at, you should look on the website for GPAI, and you would see that that call is posted around probably after Christmas for closing in spring.
But may I say something, Françoise?
Sure.
You can collaborate with our projects as a specialist. So if you let us know which one of these projects you feel that you can contribute to, you can join these projects as a specialist. And then later on, when the call for self-nominated experts comes, then you can put your candidacy to it if you want to commit fully to being an expert. But initially, if you have something to offer and to support, we are delighted that you can come on board. Just contact us, and we will then hear more as to which is the project that you want to contribute to as a specialist.
I'm going still through the question. Maybe meanwhile, Lawrence, you can prepare the questions from the end of the list, since I'm at the beginning of the list, and then I will transfer to you. Our next question is about the relevance and scope of patenting generative AI in different jurisdictions. Then obviously, I would refer you to the report, which is going to be published by the IP group, which will certainly include answers on that. And this will be presented in Delhi at the plenary in December. A question about using AI to fight pandemic, find vaccine, viruses. This is not a topic that is addressed in our group. It might be, I think it was addressed before in one of the other group. I think it was the
responsible
AI. I'm not sure they still have it there, but you might find, Satyam Patel, you might find some reports about this topic on the site, on the GPAI site of a previous group we had on that during the pandemics, of course, right? Then a question about regarding AI regulation by different member nations. Have you, as you have heard before, in the description of the work of this committee on regulation, you've seen that one of the topics that we want to address is basically to list regulating frameworks or whatever countries have come up with in the different countries, to compare them and to allow some sort of answer, like if you are in one nation where the regulation is so and so, and you want to go and put your product on the market on another nation, then this is the differences you'll find between the regulation practices you're used to in your own country with the regulation in this new country. So it's really a topic which we are addressing. And again, this will be presented at the conference in Delhi. After that, we have a question about a common framework of data sharing and data security in view of different countries passing their own AI regulation. This question, if it deals with AI regulation, of course, we will address this topic when comparing the regulation of frameworks in the different countries, but we will not create a common framework of data sharing and data security per se. This would be more like in the data governance working group, more than in our working group. About the name and affiliation of the speakers, I think this should be provided by the organizers easily. Then I have a long question. We need the people. We do not just need more people with advanced data skills. We need them to be different. Right? So, okay, more diverse, etc., etc., etc. How do we scale this effort? We do not really deal with training. Your question is very much about training programs, and we do not really deal with that. There is this other working group, which is on the future of work, and you probably would go to them to get answers to your question. Then
this is Lawrence. But if this organization or Daniel wants to list his training courses on the AI for SME portal in each country, I mean, the portal operator can decide whether to put his materials online.
Yeah, but to better understand the consequences of the tool they are building, etc., etc. It's really issues which are not completely
for SMEs, yes.
Our scope, right? Then there is a question about which subgroup handles the local country legal aspect of AI-related conflicts. I'm not sure we deal with that, right? Don't think so, except the IP group dealing with issues of conflict, if you want, on copyright breach, IP breach. That's about it. How to join the GPAI, we have an answer on that. To join the AI, either you get a self-nominated expert, or as Inma was saying, you just come to us. You can be nominated as a specialist. And this answers the next question, which is, how can I join the GPAI project? When you say, how can I join the GPAI project? Actually, you should say which project you want to join. There are many, there are at least 4 here. A question for the IP group about the rights of artists. I don't think they're focusing specifically on artists, but they're, dealing with a problem of copyright and IP protection. So, of course, obviously, they're dealing also with artists. Copy of the slides, that's for the organizer to answer this. Any AI solution to stop uses of compost and chemical in fields? That would be for you, Inma, to answer this one. And agriculture for the next one. Agriculture is critical for economic growth, okay? The role of AI in improving the productivity of a country without compromising the labor employed. Do you see this question, Inma?
Yes, there's several of them.
Yeah, you have.
Please
get those. And, yeah.
Yeah, there's one that got my eye, which is, but if you technify agriculture, there will be labor losses. That is a myth. The agriculture sector needs technology because it needs data, it needs optimization, it needs to know to manage water resources more efficiently. It needs to put pesticides only in the areas where there are real pests, not in entire hectares of fields. So basically, there is a myth that when you put a robot in the fields to harvest a crop, you're taking a manual labor. Let me tell you the reality of Europe. The old traditional cheap labor that used to cross the borders of countries and come to pick up apples in Germany or in the UK, that group doesn't exist anymore. That type of job is paid so low that absolutely nobody wants it. And that's not the only thing that really optimizes agriculture. We need to grow crops with better knowledge of what we are doing. And also many young people want to have jobs in agriculture now that technology is supporting them. And there is a huge emergence of future jobs for young people that want a life in the countryside and want to be farmers with a lot of technology around them. So there's a lot of self-sufficientness that allows farmers also in countries in development to be able to grow and to farm hectares pretty much with very few people, which is how they're going to make it economically work for them. If you have more interest, just get in touch with us. But one of the things we do in this group is demystify many of the wrong understandings.
Maybe Lawrence, you can pick up now.
Yeah, so we have one from Dr. Rajendran, a startup, EAP data, how to participate in the program. I think when India set up the AI for SME portal, that's where you can register as a solution provider to showcase your solution. The next one, public data sources used by AI in social media. Have a tight privacy approach or privacy. Do we need to educate them? I think personal data are always going to be private. I don't think it is good to make personal data open. And I think, with the event of generative AI, there's a lot of issues at the moment, right? Which, we have teams trying to figure out what's the best approach. The next question, do you think a one-stop solution to access a variety of AI tools from a single membership makes sense? Today, there is already sites like GitHub, Hugging Face that provides access to state-of-the-art algorithms at no cost. So I'm not sure a paid subscription will make sense to anyone. And accessing of all these AI tools really today is most of them are open source and it's free. But it's very expensive to run some of these AI models on CPUs or GPUs clusters, and that is the biggest challenge for most organizations and researchers today. not access to the tools itself. Broad adoption of AI by SME in agro and farming, maybe from Vinay, maybe Imma or Daniela, you want to take that? What different data sets are used in few case studies done in Japan and specific outcomes, etc.?
Well, in agriculture, you have two types of data: the data that you pick up in the fields, and then the data that is provided by third parties. So, for example, veterinarians, for example, companies that make animal food, etc. Satellite data that is provided by the space agency, so by private companies like Planet. And that is the data that exists. Now, not every farmer is prepared to spend investment in IoT and implant sensors in the field. So some of them opt to actually get the data from a third party like the European Space Agency satellites. So that's the data, And then primordially, the most important data is harvested crop data to know exactly the levels of proteins of grains. Are they improving? Are they lacking year on year, etc.? And when it comes to animal welfare, veterinarian data is really important because we need to ensure that the human food chain is not contaminated with something that may have happened in terms of illnesses to animals or something else. So the data is very varied. It lives in different sources, and the efforts, at least in Europe that we know of, are about making sure that we build these platforms in which the data is publicly available to everyone, if possible.
Okay, Imma, I think the next two questions is also on agro. One is on the company that has been using AI to deepen penetration of credit and insurance to farmers, and how can they submit use cases? So that could be an interesting use case for you.
Yeah, probably that may be of interest to you because it's the insurance sector.
Yes.
So we can look at it together.
Yeah. To Samir Shah, I think if you want to submit a use case, I think the agro one is more global, but for the AI for SME ones, it's run in each country. So so we will need to wait for India to stand up the AI for SME portal, which then you can register as a solution provider to submit your use case. The next question is on plant and produce some superfoods with the help of AI research, which can help with malnutrition globally. I'm sure there are a lot of researchers working on this, on how to produce food or even synthetic proteins and so on. I think that there are many such activities and startups that been happening. Yeah. How AI will be useful in education? There's actually a lot of case studies of how people are actually using AI in education today. You know, from helping from coding, obviously for those in coding, but in a few examples that we have seen personally and those that we have actually done. Teachers have put together, for example, LM prompts to help generate new lesson plans, for example, or timetable or activities for the students. I mean, they use generative AI as a first cut, after which then they will then put their input their own expertise in to refine the output. Maybe the rest of my colleagues has any inputs on this?
In the EU, countries like Spain and Sweden have put AI platforms to support primary school children. And there's very good case studies. Primarily is to encourage self-learning, to encourage children to individually at home rehearse and review lessons. For example, math and foreign languages are the typical programs, because you can do it on your own. You can review algebra on your own, and they tend to be built with gamification. You get points for everything you get, right. But then the back end is very interesting for the teachers, because they start seeing across the board where are the areas where all of the students have difficulty, and which are the areas where everybody is with, really easily understanding things. So the duality of education is both for teachers to manage the learning and for students to improve their skills on their own outside of the classroom.
Thank you. The next one for Abhilash, we are SME working on AI governance. Yeah, please do reach out and to the regulation team to follow up. To Leonette Chua, yes, definitely we'll be interested to work with you for Southeast Asia. I mean, we go by groups, so I think it's more important that you state which of the 4 groups that you're interested to work with, because we work on a global basis. For myself, I'm based out of Singapore, so happy to explore Southeast Asia with you.
Maybe you could address those two at 305 and 307. With reference on the AI solution being developed for GPAI, what is the plan to spread awareness to industry verticals in each country? Right, this is one. And the next one is, what is the result of a particular project that can be used and reused in other countries? For example, the SME platform. Maybe you can comment on that, Lawrence.
Yeah, so the AI solutions being developed through GPAI, right? I think we have, so we have the reports that's being generated from the groups, and some of these groups will have working toolkits, like the innovation and commercialization working group, where the SME group, we have the portal. The agro group will also have the portal. So this definitely can be adopted. Now, what we really will have to work through each of the GPAI member countries' representative office, and to get them to adopt the solutions for the countries. And it's great that you are very interested. So please help us by raising your hands like you have done, and speaking with the GPAI office or the committee in your country, in this case India, to say that, hey, we are really interested in this. Can you guys please set it up so that we can start to search for AI solution providers, or we can start to upload our use cases, right, to help us in our business. So what is the result of a particular project that can be used? So today, what is available as a toolkit would be the AI for SME portal. So for all GPAI member countries, they can drop us a note, and we will enable your account for you to download the template. It's a WordPress a template, and then there will be documentations and all videos that were contributed by Poland, for example, to help you set up the portal. And if you need more hand-holding, the forum has already been set up, so you can ask questions there. We have developers from both Singapore and Poland that can help you if you get into any problems.
Excuse me, I'm just going to interject very briefly. In the name of time, maybe we could take about 2 more questions, if everyone is okay with that. And the rest, I do encourage you to reach out to me so I can help direct you to the best answer, if that works for everyone.
So Kathleen, maybe you want to select the last 2 questions.
Yeah, I can. I see.
Well, I see one, for example.
Yeah.
Can we please have the logistics for the upcoming summit in India? And I think this would be it's a very good question, because probably a lot of the people have this question. They want to be able to come to the summit in Delhi, right? So, Mr. Singh, this is a question for you, and I think it means that we will have a lot of public there. That's good.
See, like just to add, just to kind of address to the extent that I can at this stage, the dates are there: 12th, 13th, 14th. 12th of December will be the working group meetings and all of us, the larger group. 13th will be the ministerial. It will be in Delhi. We are looking at the same venue where we are hosting the G20 ministerial in September. And we will be also sharing with you details of places to stay nearby and other logistics that will be there. That will be put on our website, as also will be writing to you, all of you individually. So we are in the process of finalizing all the agreements with the hotels, and also that we'll have rooms booked, which you could avail. And the entire agenda schedule, we are also trying to shortlist which are the side events that we will be having at the event, depending on the venue that we have. So we do have scope for having several parallel sessions also. So depending on how many people are coming, depending on how many side events are happening, we'll ensure that every such event has sufficient participation. There's a lot of buzz within India, in the startup ecosystem, in the industry, AI industry, in the academia, for taking part in the GPAI summit on the first day especially. So that will be there. And we are also, as we had mentioned earlier in the steering committee meeting, about the hackathon that we'll be doing, AI based, plus a few more interesting tidbits will be there about which we'll be sharing. Unfortunately, we are not able to give you the complete plan, because right now our entire energies are focused on the G20, which we are hosting. But yes, our last G20 digital economy working group is in August, and then the ministerial G20 is in September first week. But by mid-August, we'll be sharing more details about the GPAI summit, the logistics, and what all will be needed and what all will be there for everyone. But if you have any queries, specific queries, feel free to write to us. We'll be happy to respond to them.
Thanks a lot. And maybe to close, I had a question, which is about non-GPAI countries, right? The only answer at the present time is that all these tools and stuff we've done in this group are available for members of GPAI. So non-GPAI countries should be urged to apply and become GPAI countries, right? That's all. And
yeah, I 100% agree with this, because when it comes to AI and the way the technology impacts each one of us, the AI doesn't know any national boundaries. So GPAI, if it has to evolve and it has to really like kind of be the nodal agency, which is kind of the go-to agency for all AI related stuff, it has to go and embrace every country that's there. And there are countries which are interested in, but of course the call will be taken by the steering committee and the processes that we have. But GPAI needs to expand. GPAI needs to reach out to more and more countries. And we have been advocating this, but we will be taking it up with the member countries of the GPAI in the right forums for expanding this.
And again, you know, we started when I started with GPAI, it was basically 15 countries, and now we're 29. So we are increasing. Yeah, obviously.
Yes.
I think I will give back the floor to you, Mr. Singh, because I think the Q&A session is over.
Yes. And in fact, I must, I'm deeply impressed by the kind of level of interest that this session has kind of raised. And it was evident by the quality of questions, by the number of questions, the volume of questions, and the fact that we have overshot by almost 20 minutes. So this also shows the relevance of these sessions, because there's so much of work which is being done by the expert groups, and very, very important to share with each other, get to know what all has happened, and also clarify many things with the experts who are around. Because if there are experts, we better make use of them to the extent possible. So that has been the objective of the working group convenings. So this session on innovation and commercialization was very interesting. I congratulate all the presenters who kind of presented with regard to adoption of AI by SMEs. SME is a big sector, as I mentioned in the initial address. We'll be working on setting up the portal and will ensure how more and more SMEs across the world can benefit from them. And then with regard to agriculture, that boosting innovation while regulating AI. This is like one of the most important issues that countries across the world are grappling with. How do we balance out AI innovation and AI regulation? On one hand, there are experts who are calling to stop the development of AI, but we don't advocate for that as a country, India. We feel that while we do need to regulate, we do need responsible AI, we do need democratizing AI, we do need explainable AI. At the same time, we must not limit the innovation that can come by development of AI solutions. And while doing so, how do we make it more equitable? How do we make it more accessible? How do we ensure that researchers sitting in anywhere in the world have access to the same compute as some big tech companies have? So this would require a lot of thinking. This would require a lot of bringing together policies which ensures we are able to democratize access to AI, both compute, data, and talent with regard to that. Then the presentations that were made on AI intellectual property, that's very, very relevant, because once we are developing AI solutions, who does IP belong to? So that those issues, the working group which has done will be great insights into helping the GPAI shape up its own policy. So without taking any more time, I would like to congratulate all the working group chairs, Kathleen as well, Inma, for contributing to these discussions, and look forward to the next convening that we will be having, and we'll be sharing this entire details. The session will be, the recorded session will also be available live on our website, and we will so those of you who had missed for any reason, those experts, they can come back and see here. And if there are any queries, we look forward to kind of creating a forum in which we can continue this engagement. This Q&A can continue. If there are any more queries that today's participants have, if they address to that, we'll try to build up a channel of for sending them, sharing them with the experts. And if there's any response, we can build that. So that way we'll build up a vibrant community of all stakeholders, and to ensure that we all work together towards the common objectives. And this would be the right way to move forward to the GPAI Summit in December. And we will be communicating with you the exact dates for the third convening and the fourth. And in between also, there are a lot of Canada, the Center for Excellence in Montreal, they are planning to host a session in September. We had a call with them, and we have worked out details with regard to how we will be working together with them, and how part of the output of that meet that they will have, their workshop that they will have, will be shared in the December summit. We'll have a specific slot in which we will get to know about the innovation workshop that Canada is doing and learn more about that. So that will be there. And similarly, we look forward to hearing from you all if there are any more requests of addressing any specific key issues. We're also trying to see if we can get the industry experts also to take part in the summit and share their insights with regard to what all they are doing, and share with the larger community. So, and I would also like to mention, we missed hearing from Alan from the GPAI Secretariat, but he has posted a message on the group in which he has mentioned about the global challenge to build trust in the age of generative AI, which recognizes the transformative and disruptive potential of generative AI. And OECD, GPAI, and UNESCO, they are organizing a global challenge. Details of it is available on the GPAI website. So look forward for all of you to share about that with your respective organizations, countries, stakeholders, to ensure that more and more people take part in the global challenge. With these words, I would once again convey my heartfelt thanks to the entire AI community, the GPAI Secretariat, the experts, the MEG chair, the Center for Excellence in both Montreal and Paris, and my own team, which has been working hard for ensuring that this session is conducted successfully. So congratulations, all of you, and look forward to meeting you in the next convening. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Singh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And thank you for your
Thank you,
questions.
everyone.